Sometimes I dream of going home, back to Manchester where I grew up. But really, I'd love it if I could time travel back to my childhood, back to the street where we lived back then. There's Grandma's house on the left. We live further down the street, 3 doors down. There's me in the backyard, my old school photo. I remember a day when I went with my dad to Grandma's house. Grandma and my dad showed me a sepia photo of a soldier. They said, "Do you understand who this is?" But I didn't understand who it was. I wasn't interested. It was my granddad's photo from World War I. He died 12 years before I was born. Grandma lived to be 96, but now she is gone too. Now I am interested in the photo, but no one knows what happened to it. It's all gone. It was the only photo we had of him. And now the street has gone too. I have now located my granddad's army records and have come to know him a little bit through them, but the photo is gone forever. A few years back, we travelled to Belgium, to Ypres and the Menin Gate, where so many of the fallen are remembered. We went to Hill 60 and Passchendaele, where my grandfather fought in World War I. In today's video, I'm going to Stowmarket Memorial Gates to hear the stories of local men from Suffolk who paid the ultimate sacrifice. I'm meeting Bob Bailey, who has researched the stories of the men of Stowmarket who died in the war.
They're obviously the ones that fell. They were the original ones, and they're also in the Roll of Honour in the British Legion. Right. These were additional ones that I found, and I found another 7 on top of that. Yeah, where is he? Osborne. Osborne was that's the one that was. He was born in Ipswich, enlisted in Cardiff, lived in Swansea, Welsh Regiment, not the Suffolk Regiment or anything. Is on our Roll of Honour. Now, what happened, I don't know. I know that years ago, I mean, I'm talking about 1967, when I first arrived in Stowmarket, there was a gentleman by the name of Joe Sargent. Joe Sargent was wounded on the Somme, a Stowmarket man. He came to on Ipswich railway station. When he woke up on the stretcher, he said, "Where am I?" And a porter happened to be walking by, and he said, "Blast boy," he says, "you're in Ipswich." So he said, "Ipswich, Suffolk?" So he said, "It's the only one I know." So he came here, and he sort of had his medication, treatment, God knows what else, had his blues, which the hospital people, if you had injury, had a blue uniform on. Okay. And he said, "I never had to pay for a thing." He said, every time I went into a pub, there was always beer on front of me. He said, "I walked down on the bank of the River Gippin, and he said, people were looking out the windows and throwing pennies, halfpennies, threepenny bits." He said, I came back absolutely loaded with money because people knew him, and he was a homebred sort of hero. Wounded on the Somme, convalesced on the Somme. Now, whether he was at Stow Lodge, I don't know. I do know that the St George's School, the private school there now, was a hospital for injured soldiers. Whether it was officers or not, I don't know. But there was.
This is Osborne F, is it, or Osborne J?
Osborne FC. Yeah, Osborne
the
FC.
Welsh Regiment.
Yep. Yeah. As I say, no, as far as I know, there's no affiliation to Stowmarket, but you don't want him taken off because this might be the only memorial that he's commemorated on.
Is on. Yeah. The only thing I know about this, so I'm ready to be educated, is there's just one civilian on here somewhere who's the lady.
Yeah, she was the lady that was killed in the bombing.
Yeah. In Strickland's Road, wasn't it?
It'll be our Mrs. Farrow.
Yeah, Mrs. Farrow. Yeah.
Most of those in the Suffolks on here, Sentinel Wall, were killed in the Far East Asian Theatre. in captivity.
Right.
Yeah, there was, where is he? There's a bloke here, Miller Mead, Lummus, Muddy, Manning, a lot of the Air Force, but where's some of these were D-Day landings people.
Oh, right.
There was one that, a young lad, he was only 20, he was the glider pilot, and the glider pilot, when he arrived at the destination of where they had to go, when they crashed, he had to sort of take off his flying helmet, put on a beret, get a gun, go out and fight alongside the troops. Well, he got killed, he was only 20. He lived at Jubilee Avenue. Went up to see the house and asked if there's anyone that can remember the boy himself, but they couldn't. There was this other man, he was bomb disposal, and yeah, is he on here? He was bomb disposal, and all the equipment, it was either shore battery, or it was an E-boat got amongst the flotilla, and here it is, Hannah, Flight Sergeant Hannah. Shore battery got amongst the flotilla of these little sort of crafts and sunk it. He drowned with all the bomb disposal equipment. There were several killed there. A lot of them were shore battery damage. He was D-Day +3, I think it was. It might have been 4. But yeah, a lot of RAF people. Yeah, this is the one that was, where was he? Calver. Did the Jubilee Avenue. Yeah, but as you see, there's a lot of RAF people. Most of them were RAF. The brothers on this one here, there's two Lyas, L-Y-A-S, 2 brothers, Lyases. They're the only ones on the Commonwealth War Grade Commission, First or Second World War, so the name virtually, as far as Stowmarket's concerned at least, no longer exists. And they were 2 brothers. There's several brothers on here. There's a Wildings, Southgates. I've got their addresses, right. And yeah, so there was one there that I just found, Honeyball. There was 2. I haven't found the connection between the name. It's an unusual name.
Yeah.
And there's Elias. He's up there.
Oh yeah. They were brothers, right?
They were brothers. Yeah. There's about 5 or 6 brothers that were killed. On the last day of the Somme, the Battle of the Ancre, that was finished on the 13th of November 1916. There were 4 people that were killed on that day from Stowmarket. There was one killed the day before on the 12th, and there was one that died of wounds 2 days later. There were 6 families that would be associated with the death on the last day of the Somme, Battle of the Somme. Mm-hmm. Bearing in mind that it started 1st of July and never finished until the 13th of November. Mm-hmm. The village of Thiepval should have been taken on the day, the 13th. That wasn't taken until about early September by the 18th Division, which was the Eastern Division. That wasn't taken. Eastern Division, the 18th Division, was a strike division really. And they took their objectives, and it was under the control of a Major General Ivor Maxey, right. Ex-Guards officer. And the way they took their objective was the fact that he dug trenches from the British trench, Russian saps they called them, dug out the trenches going from our trench to the German lines, and then when the whistle blew at 7:30 on the 1st of July 1916, they just came up halfway across and they were in the trenches, the German trenches, before the Germans could come out and get the machine guns done. Right. It was only the Eastern Division, 18th Division, the French obviously took theirs out, and also the 36th Division, which was the Irish. They did.
That's my lot.
Is it? The Irish did well. Yeah. Oh, I've got some books if you might want to read that. Yeah. We will never surrender. They're all First World War books. So the Irish, yeah, brilliant.
The Irish like a good fight.
Oh dear. Yeah, yeah, they do. Right, do you want to have a look at the books?
Yeah, so we're going.
Yeah. You come from Ireland, do you?
My ancestry's traced back. We ran out of potatoes, so we came over to Manchester.
Oh right. What part of Ireland?
Could be Roscommon, Tipperary sort of way.
My grandmother was, her family come from Ireland, but we haven't been able to trace anything because her name was Joyce.
Right.
Because when they got independence, about 1923, I reckon all the records were burnt, destroyed, whatever. Right, these are the additional ones on the Suffolk Regiment. Oops, that I found. These are the dates that those people on the gates. I'm going to pass this over to Steve Williams.
Yeah.
It's the Suffolk History Group, and these are the addresses where they were. There was 2 boys on there that they joined together and joined the Royal Rifle Corps. One was 16 when he enlisted, the other one was 17, well underage. The 16-year-old was killed in 1915, so he'd only been 17 when he was killed, in the front line, not far from St Julian, where the first gas attack took place. And
Yeah, I think my granddad went there.
what does
St Julian.
St Julian, really?
Yeah, he
this-
was on the Somme and Ypres and
Wow.
Passchendaele and all
you
that.
can't imagine it, you really can't. If you hang on to that, Don, that's the cemetery, and that will tell us. Here's the rest of the addresses. These are cemeteries that they're in. Besides finding here, like that one for example, Second Lieutenant is in Stowmarket Cemetery. We're going to see him later on. Another one there, but I haven't found a connection between the two. Some of these also commemorated on other sort of memorials. There's 5 that's on Stow Uplands Memorial, besides being down here on ours. But out the 94, now I found another couple, so it'll be 96 people that fell from Stowmarket. Over a third of them are no known graves. They're just commemorated on sort of memorials like Thiepval, Meningate, Poisier, Lewes Memorial, Arras. You know, just no known graves where they've just sort of blown to smithereens or bodies haven't been found. God only knows.
So how did you get into researching all this?
What I did, I used to play crib for the British Legion. They had a Roll of Honour in there, and I'd coming up here with the RF Association on the 11th of November, and laying wreaths and things up here. And I thought, that name's not on the gates here, and I compared them and took a list of all the names on the Roll of Honour and on here, and I did some research. I'm a bit of an anorak. Well, I'm an anorak. There's no 2 ways about it. I've researched all the Royal Flying Corps, Australian Flying Corps, Royal Naval Air Service and the RAF First World War, of all the people that were killed on the Western Front. I've researched all the names, all those that were killed, where they're buried, wrote it all out and everything, and then I found that there were 4 or 5, or 3 actually, on our memorial gates here. One's even sort of commemorated in the church, but he wasn't on the list on here, Roll of Honour. He died in Egypt of pyremia, whatever that may be. I think it's blood poisoning. But so I started to sort of find that. I went to see the council about the names that were missing, and they said they gave me that book. And they said you might be interested in this because that's got the graves of some of those that are in our cemetery here. There's one there, a Gunner Mellis. He's on his mother and father's headstone, but again, it's not on the missing. Here he is, Gunner Mellis. He's not down there. This one here, I've just found out about him. I don't think it's H. I think it's Frederick King Pryke. Royal Flying Corps. He was flying a camel, and this one here, funny enough, he was flying a camel, Sheridan, and he collided with the bloke Saunders. He's buried in a cemetery in Essex, so I'm assuming that the family moved down there. And he was flying a camel as well. They were both on 3 Squadron, Sheridan and this Second Lieutenant Saunders, flying a camel. Can't think of the serial number of it now, but they were almost consecutive sort of numbers, and they were killed on the same day. And I reckon they were stunting. I reckon they were sort of messing about with one another, and they collided. They were killed on the same day, same squadron, which is unusual, really. Yeah, that's Sheridan. I think it says in a church there on the commemorative plaque it was special squadron, but it wasn't. It was a training squadron. He was an instructor. There are lots of abbots there as well. Some of these are Victoria Road, Regent Street. You see, you've got two brothers there. from. I'll put this in the back there. Two brothers, 47 Regent Street, at Sear Cemetery, which is the Somme, and the other one was killed the year previous, again 47 Regent Street.
Massive impact on the family.
Oh, crikey, yeah. You know, you hear some of these people losing, you know, 3, 4, 5 sort of sons and things like that, you know, just horrendous, absolutely horrendous. Some of these people you see, you know, they've never been out their village, and suddenly there's, you know, they've got the harvest in and things like that, and they think, oh, there's a war in France. They've never been out to Ipswich, let alone anywhere else, you know. Go over to France, different country, new suit of clothes, it'll be over by Christmas, we'll be back. Yeah. You know, we've got to look forward to the spring harvest then, or planting. Yeah. You know, you're hedging and ditching, otherwise you might be laid off, and a whole sack across your shoulders to keep the damp out. And to say suddenly a big adventure, getting money, 3 square meals a day, new suit of clothes, you know, and it's all going to be over by Christmas, we'll be back. What an adventure. Where do I sign on, you know? God dear, hold me back. So the poor little old devils, off they went, and that was it.
Yeah.
It's such a shame. I mean, so naive. I mean, what do they have to look forward to? You know, he's coming into winter and everything, especially around this area. You know, rural area. You know, he's going to be lucky if you're going to be kept on with a farmer. You know, otherwise it's sort of, you know, crusty bread and cold water. That was it. You know, just oh dear, a big adventure, and off they go, money in their pocket, first time ever. Yeah, half of them never came back. Those that came back were sort of absolutely, must have been disturbed, mustn't they, what they saw, what they witnessed.
Yeah, when we went out to Belgium, saw my granddad was at Ypres and Passchendaele, and you look at all the people that died there, you know, millions died there, and you think, how did he survive? And then I found he came home for a little bit because he had trench foot. He was in a hospital in Bristol, and I wonder if that's what saved his life.
More than likely. You see, the thing was with trench foot, they used to charge the blokes for not looking after themselves. They was up to their knees or up to their thighs, or even their waist, in mud and water and everything, and they couldn't dry their feet out, so they was in water all the time. And they said, this is the hierarchy, you should change your socks at least once a day. They never had anything that was dry, so consequently everyone was suffering from trench foot. A self-inflicted injury, you know, just ridiculous. And it was the Battle of Passchendaele. Canadians took Passchendaele eventually. When they found it, there wasn't even 2 bricks standing on top of one another, and just a smear of brick dust. And when they took it, Lieutenant General Sir Lancelot Kidgell got out of his chauffeur-driven limousine, was up to his riding boots in about half an inch of mud. And he broke down crying and said, my God, do you mean to tell me we've been sending men into fighting conditions like this? He didn't have a clue. And that had been going on from July 17 until November. And like, people, you know, if you read a book, they call it Passchendaele, I've got it, I'll pass it over to you, it's absolutely horrendous. They corduroy roads, and wagons and horses with the driver, if they went off the corduroy road, went into the mud, they just sunk, they drowned, you know, people, it's absolutely horrendous. So, there we are, Osborne. First of the 6th Battalion Welsh Regiment, died in France, Flanders on 28th of November 1917, born Ipswich, enlisted Cardiff, resided in Swansea. He's on Stowmarket Memorial Gates and RBL Memorial Scroll. Right, do you want to have a look at the cemetery?
Yeah, we'll go on that one.
As I say, these will give us where they are.
Right, okay.
Now this one here, you see, Royal Rifle Corps, but in the Commonwealth War Graves, he's down as Labour Corps. Now, whether he was injured, discharged from the King's Royal Rifle Corps, and then went into the Labour Corps, I don't know. But we got them all marked down here, so we'll be able to find them. Another one there. Ling. Ling. Sergeant Ling. One there.
Mm.
Now what's this one beside him? There's one there as well, and one there.
There's a lot.
Gooch. Now this one here, where you live at the moment, is the King's Royal Rifle Corps. They got him down the Commonwealth War Grade Commission as Labour Corps. He was only 18, he should have been sent away. Officially they weren't allowed to go abroad until they were 19. So obviously he stopped behind. I reckon he got the flu as well, looking at the 1918. Yeah, he was the great uncle of the bloke live opposite you. That was his great uncle.
Mm.
Yeah, Gooch. So there's this one here, another Suffolk.
Another
All
one.
young. He died after the war, as you can see, but that's probably flu as well, influenza.
Right.
And it was always, funny enough, or sadly enough, it was always the young.
Yeah.
It wasn't the elderly or those that came back. The young, they were the fit people, you know, come back from the war. It's absolutely crying shame. They were the people that got hit just after Boxing Day. Look.
Yeah.
Oh dear. What's this one? Bird. You see, he would have been too old to go, so he was obviously standing here guarding facilities. 51 years of age, 1916. Another one here. Harry Hart, Norfolk Regiment. He died after as well, you see. Look, he survived the war. Survived the war, absolute crying shame. Yeah, they're all young, aren't they? You know, just all the fit, able-bodied people.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking. Davy.
Yeah, this is Second World War.
Right.
Shame, they're all so young.
Double.
DFM. So he come up through the ranks. He was an officer. The DFM. Otherwise, it would have been a DFC. Officers had the cross,
Okay.
but the medals were from other ranks. Another one, 22.
That 22. And then we've got D. Eldridge.
One over there, the looks.
Oh yeah.
The other side of the hedge. There's one here as well.
Oh yeah.
On that one. 41, another Second World War, Army Service Corps. This is after, way after the Second World War. There you're coming into the new bit.
Right. Yeah. Is there anything there? Do you know?
No, I don't think it's. Well, we'll go back. We'll do this strip down here.
Yeah. Okay.
There's a friend of mine's wife is in there. Over there.
45.
I've got to try and find this bloke now. It's starting to get to me now. Oh, that's the lady that was killed in the bombing. So, what is this? Section R. Section R. Section R. This is you come through the gates, so it would have been This part here somewhere. That's the one. Charles Farrow died March 39. Also Rhoda Lilly, wife of the above, killed by enemy action January 31st 1941, age 59.
Yeah. On Friday the 31st of January 1941, a lone German bomber circled Stowmarket. After flying over the marketplace, the bomber turned backwards towards the town and headed towards the Congregational Church. It is possible that the intended target was a telephone exchange behind the church, but as the bomber unloaded its bombs, they fell directly onto the Congregational Church, completely destroying it. The Reverend Eric Weir, the Congregational minister, was also the head air raid warden at the time. But the more tragic story happened just behind the Congregational Church. Mrs. Rhoda Farrow had been enjoying a brief visit from her son, Ronald, who was on leave from the RAF. He had brought down his fiancée from Manchester to meet his mother. On the fateful day, Mrs. Farrow had just seen her son off at Stowmarket Station as he returned to duty. After the bombing, she was found in the rubble with her hat, coat and gloves on, and still had her door keys in her hand. The bomb had not only destroyed the church, but Mrs. Farrow's house immediately behind the church. Rhoda Farrow is the only female and the only civilian listed on Stowmarket's Memorial Gates.
Yeah, he's not on. That's another one that was not on the list that I found. Who's Paymaster Assistant. March the 2nd, 1918. Age 32 years. So what one is that then? Oh, must be the other side across the road.
It's the other side.
Yeah. Hopefully that's where Mellis is. Hillier. He's flying cool. Mellis, this is what he's done. He's painted it.
Oh,
Mellis now.
Yeah.
Where are we? Father of the above. Lovely memory. John Montague Mellis. Royal Garrison Artillery, Monty, second beloved son of Amelia Mellis, died of wounds received in action October the 8th, 1918, aged 44 years, buried at Vadencourt, near St. Quentin. That's the one. Right, so we got that one.
yeah, leader. Yeah.
See, he's on it as well.
He's not on the gates.
No. 17 years and 8 months. Died 26th of February 1915. Ah, that's that second lieutenant. He was only a young lad, 1915 he died, yeah, second lieutenant. I can't read the rank on here, but if that's the one, he was a second lieutenant. He's on the Memorial Gates and on the Roll of Honour at Stowmarket, so we'll see if we can find him. Here he is, here. Sir Anthony Hudson Hillier, son of Sidney Hillier, MD, second lieutenant, Monmouthshire Regiment, aged 17, 11 months. Died of wounds. He should have been out there. He weren't allowed to be originally, officially rather, until he was 19. Died of wounds, 17, 11 months, nearly 18. Dear God.